Hello friends, this is Gajanan Bathe from Prabhat Kids School. Friends, this weekend particularly, I had been on a short trip with my friends. We went to really a very beautiful beach. We spent most of our time on the beach in water and roaming around. There was all going well, but suddenly I found that I forgot to pack an extra pair of clothes. So, has something similar ever happened to you? Or have you ever gone to a trip and you conveniently discovered that you forgot something to pack which needed much important? Why I am talking of all about this? Because of the new chapter we are going today, and the name of the chapter is Packing, which is very hilariously explained by Jerome K. Jerome. Now let me introduce the chapter. The lesson Packing is an extract taken from Jerome K. Jerome's novel Three Men in a Boat. It describes humorously the incident that takes place when the narrator and two of his friends get engaged in packing their things before going on a boating trip. It focuses on the fact that packing is in fact an art and very few people are gifted with this art. It's not everybody's work that can be done. Now, theme of the lesson. Packing is based on the theme that routine tasks are not as easy as they seem to be. The humorous account amuses the readers with the chaotic and confusing situations created by the clumsiness of three friends, Harris, George, and Jerome, all whom they considered that packing was just a child's play. It exposes their utter clumsiness and creates a good quality of humor. Let's talk about the author. Jerome K. Jerome was born on May 2nd, 1859 at Staffordshire in England. He was an English novelist and playwright known for his light-hearted humor. After dropping out his school, Jerome did some odd jobs as a railway clerk, a school teacher, an actor, and finally he became a journalist. His first book, On the Stage and Off, was published in 1885 but was not recognized as much. He achieved success with his next two books, The Idle Thoughts of an Idle Fellow and Three Men in a Boat. His other works include Three Men on the Wheel and Fall Kelver, which is an autobiographical novel. He also wrote a number of plays. A book of Jerome's memories, My Life and Times, was published in 1926. The story begins as you see in the picture. Three friends are sitting: Jerome, Harris, and George. The writer Jerome, he liked to pack luggage for trips and announced that he would do the packing. Jerome thought that his ability to pack luggage was better than others. He asked his friends George and Harris to leave the task of packing to him. The two friends agreed to his offer instantly, which was strange. George sat comfortably on the easy chair and Harris bent his knees as sat on the sofa and kept his feet on the table. When he said actually I would pack, the narrator's intention was something different. What intention he had? He thought that George and Harris would pack
and he would boss over them. Now, what boss over them? Actually, to control others, to give instructions. When they relaxed, he was irritated. People's not doing anything greatly irritated him. No, he was just wanted to see people doing work for him. He would enjoy getting up and overseeing others working. He hated seeing people doing nothing when he was working. Here he recollects some memories. What happened once? He recollects that once he lived with a man who would sit lazily on the sofa all the day through and would watch writer do all the work. The man would say that he enjoyed watching him go around doing all the work. This would make the writer mad with anger. The writer adds that he could not sit idle and watch others work like slaves. On the other hand, he liked to check their work, walk around with his hands in his pocket, and direct them on how to do the work properly. He feels that as he was energetic, it was a part of his nature to believe in that manner. And somehow the narrator started packing. He had finished packing in a short time, very hurriedly. Harris told him that he had forgotten to put the boots in, and unfortunately, after the packing was done, the jeep was locked. He was said by Harris that he had forgotten to put the boots in. He opened the bag and unpacked the boots in. He was going to close it, just then he had an idea that he packed his toothbrush. He had some weird memories with his toothbrush. Here Jerome recollects that whenever he was on traveling, he always messed up with carrying his toothbrush. He has nightmares of not having packed it, makes up in the sweat and looks for it in the morning. He packs it before using it, or sometimes then unpacks the bag to get the brush and uses it. As it is in the last thing that comes out of the bag and he had repacked the bag, he forgets packing it again. At the last moment, he rushes to his room to get the brush, and finally he wraps it in his handkerchief and carries it to the railway station in his hands. So again it was the quest to search the brush. So he turned everything out, but he could not find the toothbrush. He found brushes of George and Harris more than 18 times over, but he couldn't find his own. So he put the things back one by one. Then he found the toothbrush inside a boot. He repacked the things once more. Now, when Jerome closed the bag, George asked if the soap was there inside. As Jerome was impatient, he replied that he wasn't concerned if it was there or not. Closed the lid and strapped the bag. Then he realized that he had packed his spectacles in it too and had to open it again to get them. Finally, the bag was closed at 10:05. Then they had to pack the food baskets. Harris said that as they were left with less than 12 hours to live, they should pack the baskets as well. So Harris decided that the food baskets would be packed by him and George. So Jerome agreed to take his turn for some rest while his friends packed the baskets. And in this way, the second innings of packing was started by Harris and George. So Harris and George, they were not good packers initially. The narrator could see piles of plates, cups, kettles, cakes, tomatoes, etc. Soon the packing became exciting. Cups were broken. Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of the tomato and scratched it. George walked over the butter. The narrator sat and saw them packing, and he enjoyed it. Now it became very interesting as they broke the cup, and Harris placed the jar on the strawberry jam, and that episode became very interesting. Next, George stepped on the butter. Jerome, he remained silent but sat on the edge of the table to watch the action. His silence irritated his friends. They became nervous and stepped on the things. They kept on things behind them, and later, when they wanted them, they couldn't find them. They placed the pies on the bottom and kept heavier things on them, which smashed the pies. The boys overturned the can of salt on everything. Jerome says that when they created a lot of confusion with the small piece of butter, he had not seen anyone create so much mess with butter that was worth 1 and 2 pence, meaning it was a very small piece, as they did. George removed it from his slipper and tried to put it into the kettle. As he was unable to do that, he placed it on a chair. Harris sat on it. The butter stuck to him. He stood up, and both the boys went around and room looking for the piece of butter. After this funny incident, now it was the turn of Montmorency. Who was Montmorency? Montmorency was Jerome's pet dog. Now Montmorency participated in all this. His aim was to interrupt everyone and then get scolded for it. Jerome adds that if Montmorency was not able to twist into a place and create nuisance by angering people and get things thrown at him in return, he felt that he had unutilized the day in the good way. So Montmorency sat on the things to be packed. He thought that when George and Harris reached out for the things to be packed, they were reaching out for his cold wet nose and would bring it forward for them. He stepped into the jam bottle. He shook the teaspoons. He acted as if the lemons were rats and stepped into the hamper to kill these rats. He was stopped by Harris, who hit him with a frying pan. But here again there was a blame game. According to Harris, Jerome was encouraging Montmorency for doing all this mischief. Jerome said that a dog like Montmorency did not need encouragement. It was born to be like that and act like that. Now we have reached to the concluding part of the story. So finally at 12:50 they had packed the hampers. Harris sat on it and said that hopefully nothing would break in it. George was indifferent and said that if something broke, it would not matter. As they were ready for the bed, they went upstairs to sleep. As they settled in their beds, Harris asked Jerome if he preferred the inside or outside of the bed. Jerome said that he preferred to sleep on the inside of the bed. This seemed strange to Harris. George asked them that he should wake them up at what time. Harris replied 7, while Jerome wanted to wake up at 6 as he had to write some letters. So Harris and Jerome had a discussion on the time, and finally they settled on 6:30, each accommodating his time by half an hour. George did not respond as he was asleep. Harris and George made mischief by placing the bathtub next to George's bed so that he would fall out as he woke up, on the pretext that was his way he would take a bath as soon as he got up. Here we have a very beautiful message from this chapter. This chapter humorously describes the do's and don'ts of packing. Packing should not be treated as a frivolous activity but as a serious task that involves